Hero Club presents Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu.
Hello and welcome to Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu, episode 61. I am your host and founder of the show, Wheelchair21, and joining me tonight is yet another jam-packed show of hosts. First off, it is the Janitor Joker.
Am I here though, Wheels? Am I?
Yeah, you're here. As well as...
Are you sure?
Yeah, as well as the other Mike in Mike in the morning, Soundout 12.
That podcast never happened. That never happened.
It did. Get used
No,
to
it
it.
didn't.
I did editing for it.
No, it didn't happen. It's not official until it's been released.
It's kind of true, but it'll be released by the time this episode had been even out, just like the last
Are we going to
episode.
release it in the morning?
Yeah, that's the plan. It's like, it either
So
goes up
people
like
can
at
listen to it
5
on
or
their
6
way-
in the morning.
Yeah, I agree. We have a logo now, so we're official.
Oh, a logo.
I shall drop that in the Skype chat so you can see it.
Yes, you should.
Oh, the other guy's here too.
Yes, Visible Ninja is also here. Or should I say
Gangster,
Metal
I am.
Ninja? Whatever name
I
you
like
choose.
how it took like all of like 5 seconds to get our podcast derailed.
This is a podcast. There's always going to be derailment. It's like the island of Sodor. Podcasts are legitimately the island of Sodor. There's always going to be confusion and delay as the little ding-ding goes off as Soundout sends the logo to all of us on Skype.
This
So if anyone's
logo
wondering,
has too much hope in it.
that's why it's in the morning, to have hope. A symbol of hope, like Superman's S.
Do you think our podcast is a symbol of hope?
For our website? Yes, I
Oh,
do.
No. You're delusional, Wheels. This is why I will fail.
Sir, my name's not Nick, so it's gonna succeed.
Oh no. Why do I have a sudden urge to watch Kiva again?
Well, anyways, on this episode,
I was going to sing Kiva's theme song, but I completely forgot it.
Bomb bomb birdie bop. Blah blah booty blah blah.
Okay.
Destiny's Play.
So anyways, for this week of Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu, we have just a
Los
little...
Ingobernables de Derailment.
Yeah, derailment. Anyways, we have some bits of news for you. First off, we are going to be talking about the Kamen Rider Geo second quarter catalog scans. And we also have a new copyright for the next Super Sentai series. Then we're going to be talking a little bit about how Toei likes to use Kaiju in their Tokusatsu series, but they usually become too few in between. And wrapping up, we're going to actually talk about a Kaiju movie of Soundout's choice, which is from the Gamera saga. It is the final Gamera film ever made, since that CGI one hasn't come out yet, called Gamera the Brave.
And it never will.
It never will. It never will.
It's been secretly canceled. They just didn't tell anybody. It's like Justice League Action. It's canceled, but no one knows.
You know, it's ironic how the person that worked for Toei knew about that it was secretly canceled. Like, she was like, oh no, it's been canceled. And we're like, how do you know? You supposedly work only for Toei.
That's only because the guy working there at Daiei is it's a good friend of mine. Good friend of mine who made Kuga.
No fear, no pain.
Yeah, that's right, Wheels. You know who I'm talking about.
No, you're referring to Daimajin Canon, another show that Visible Ninja and myself enjoy just like you. Let's go right into our news, since we've already been derailed for like 3 frickin' minutes.
Well, what about the loop?
Oh, if you think we're derailed now, you just wait.
You just wait.
Why didn't we talk about Gamera the writer?
Gamera the writer. No.
Wait, we're not talking about
No.
Gamera, Master Roshi's pet?
Oh.
But that was Kid Gamera. That was Kid Gamera, who appeared briefly in Gamera the Brave.
Total-san.
Hey, let's talk about crappy Kamen Rider toys.
Yeah, let's talk about that. For Kamen Rider Geo, the second quarter catalog toy scans reveal that Woes is none other than a Kamen Rider who uses
Because
his own
why
driver.
have a name for your Kamen Riders that's different than your actual character name?
Egotistical, maniacal reasoning. But he uses a driver called the Beyond Driver, which uses the MiRide watches. You know, get it? MiRide for future in ride watches. Ha ha ha. Puns, people, puns. Who uses...
But why doesn't he become Batman Beyond though? That's what I'm not getting.
I don't know.
Why
It's
is
called the
it
Beyond Driver.
Terrormechanics?
Why doesn't he become Kamen Rider Aqua and Nuden? Oh, and
Yeah,
Nuden.
because as I was going to say, his future ride watches are based on future Kamen Riders called Shinobi, Quiz, and Kikai, which is ironic.
Which will never come into existence in their own TV show. We know Toei at this point.
But here's the thing that's ironic. Some of these names are like names we've heard rumored for years for other writer shows. Like Shinobi was originally like the loose name for what became Gaim, I remember, and like Quiz was like I think a faux pas name I heard during Wizard, as well as Decade. Like, does anyone remember those rumors? Does anyone? Am I the only one?
I really don't care about the rumors anymore these days.
Rumors are rumors. That's why they're rumors.
I was gonna say that's why J Fusion's still sort of in business.
Why you gotta insult my boy like that? He'll never be on this podcast.
Well, yeah. There's a reason for that, but that's another story. Anyway,
I'm just trying to fuck over you.
So yeah, why is Waz's powers not Aqua, New Den-O, New Kiba?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, it makes no sense why he's not using any
Here's
of the
another
characters
question.
that were introduced
Why did they
previously.
drop the Legend Rider gimmick?
Here's another question. Why doesn't he Dark Drive?
Why not use Dark Drive?
Yeah. He's a future writer.
Like, it also is really concerning that they've already dropped their main gimmick.
And on
like-
top of that, he has a weapon called the Jikon Despair, which is a joke on spare and spear. Despair and spear.
I'm just
Wow,
so confused.
puns.
Like, the whole, like, we rushed through the first 20 ride watches just so we could forget that gimmick exists, because, like, I've never seen this with Rider. Like, it's not like shift cars were like, okay, here's all the shift cars, and then second quarter was like, yeah, so we're doing, cards now.
Yay.
Like, there's still watches here, but, like, it just feels like a whole aspect of it's gone.
I mean, Drive did do bikes with cars. Now this is like, oh, we're doing fake riders with real riders.
That's only because people hated the cars, and we all know this.
But then at the same time, it's like, but you got so many other riders you could still do, including
think.
these guys called the Showa Riders.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, they
Or-
don't exist.
Or do a villain rider that uses all Dark Rider powers.
Now that's the
Or
good
maybe
stuff.
Geiz shouldn't be reusing half of the main rider watches and should have his own ride watches that are based on the secondary riders.
Or, now, this is a big or, Waz shouldn't be a writer. Now, hear me out here. He's a hype man. And why are you going to take away the best part of the character? Now he's not going to be a hype man. He's going to be some jackass who fights.
Here's a question. Why do we keep naming Kamen Riders after the civilian names? Because now we already know Waz is going to be a writer. It takes out a lot of emotional drama from the series. Like, it takes out a lot of mystery. Like, because they're going to hype it up like, oh, who's the new Kamen Rider? And we're like, it's Kamen Rider Waz. It's obviously Waz.
But here's my question. Why does he look like Necrom?
Because everything
Because-
has to repeat itself. Purple, green. You know, there's a theme going on.
Making stuff up on the fly.
Exactly.
But overall, like, his belt and his weapon, like we said, it's like, it doesn't seem right. Like, it just goes from, like, a digital watch and a weird spear that looks like they stole it off the set of, like, Ghost, and I'm like, I don't feel it. I don't feel Ben 10
Wait, are
Kamen
they
Rider.
just reusing Ghost props and toys because they didn't sell?
That could be it. Maybe stumbling on the secret.
Like how they basically, like, the ride watches are very similar to the Ninja Shuriken.
Oh my god.
I mean, speaking of that, we also have upgrades for Geo and Geiz, where we have Geo
Which are not
version
based on
2
past riders.
and Geiz Revive, which, yeah, are legitimately real mid-season, like, power-ups, where Geiz has a ride watch that becomes 2 ride watches that clips onto his belt and makes it more badass, in quotations. You also have his new little weapon called the Sayokugo Grade, which is kind of like a little mini dagger that then combines with the actual Jikon Grade, as if it was like the jack attachment to the Blade Rouser back in the day. Then you have Geiz Revive, which has a two-in-one form where he either has one mode that does a certain style fighting with a chainsaw, or another version that fights with a claw. And honestly, because Geiz is shadowed out, I'm hoping it looks nice, at least aesthetically, but I'm very doubtful seeing that Geo 2 looks really ludicrous. Like, I mean, he has watch bands on both sides of his breasts now.
Oh man, he has 2 watchers now. He's living it big, baby.
I'm really hoping this show improves because it seems like we're going to stop doing Legend Rider cameos in the second quarter. And, well, man, if this show just keeps up the track it's going, we're not going to have anything going for it.
But it's a shitpost, so I don't care. The entire
Yeah,
show is
it's not
basically
engaging
shitpost.
TV.
I mean, like,
Okay.
what's your take on this, Visible Ninja, since you've been the quietest of us?
Oh god.
See, that's the only explanation he can give. Oh god.
Oh god. Okay, as for Waz, he does have a weird ass design, I think. And the idea of using future writers when the series is based on past writers is kind of a novel idea, but I don't really see it going
But
really
but
anywhere.
wait, if they're future writers, does that mean they're not technically Heisei writers though?
Yeah, they're whatever the next era is called.
They're
Writers.
future writers, yet they're not the future writers we've been introduced to.
Oh no.
Yeah. No Poseidon, no Aqua. Pooh. Which would have made, complete sense, but hey, this is Bandai and Toei, so what do
It's
you
like
expect?
they forget that Aqua exists because they never made any toys for him.
Who the hell's Aqua?
But yet they made the Poseidon bell.
Yeah, no, they remember Poseidon, but who's
That's only-
Aqua?
That's only because he's the god of the ocean, though.
Like, it's like, how did they forget New Den-O when they gave him a CSM?
They gave him a CSM and his own movie, and made him the new Den-O for movies, and then they're just like, yeah, never mind.
Nah, fam, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then they introduced, Drive Sun. And they're not doing anything with Drive Sun.
It's like when we get to 2025 and there's no Power Rangers SPD Season 2.
Or it's like when you're watching G1 growing up as a kid and it's the year 2005 and you get to 2005 and it looks nothing like that.
You get to 2005 and you're like, where's my damn hoverboard?
It's 100% accurate. So, like, that's the one thing that's weird. Is, like, most of the scans mostly do relate to a new writer and power-ups. And, like, this was really a really small catalog because all that's left is final forms for the post-decade Heisei writers and the Writer Kicks figures, which are nothing more than mostly, hey guys, here's are all the figures we made as P Bandai exclusives for both Build and X-Aid, which was like hilarious. It was like, yeah, we made all these exclusives, but hey, now here's a retail version of the figures, guys. Be happy. There you go. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I don't know what
I
to
would
say
be
about
happy,
this.
but the figures are not the right scale.
Yeah, your argument is that they made them shorter, so why bother?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I would be happy, but I'm never happy.
You actually never are happy unless you're shit posting.
Exactly. And even then, I make people sad from that.
So overall, when it comes to the second quarter, which we spent probably like 8 minutes on, yeah, it's a joke, like the show.
Yeah.
It's Pop Team Epic, the Kamen Rider. Enjoy for that.
I can't.
It's sad because everyone's saying that right now on social media that it's nothing
The-
more than pop.
The only
Team
reason
Epic.
you would watch ZO at this point is because of another Riders.
And knowing this, they're going to switch the plot. Like in the second quarter, the plot's just going to change complete directions and then go off in a new direction. And it's either going to suck or it's going to be great. Like we've been doing this since Ghost. We know the formula by now.
All right,
Where's
so
these-
let's jump to the one thing that everyone sort of wants to talk about, except me. And when I mean sort of everyone, I mean everyone else that isn't me on this podcast, which is
Listen.
Kishi Ryu Sentai Ryu Sojer.
The Mystic Knights of
yeah.
Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. It's real.
That better be the opening thing.
But yeah, you guys talk about it because I don't have much to say. It's like until I see suit designs, I'm
It's
like,
just a name,
just
but it
improve
sounds
me.
so cool because it's like basically like Dragon Knight Ranger, and that just sounds awesome.
They have Dragon Arms energy thing shit.
Also,
Um,
after watching Zero Dragon Blood, I'm craving for Toku with a dragon theme.
I'm just
I
sitting
mean,
here like,
we've
so
all
are they
been
gonna
craving
like
it.
does that mean like the next Sentai team is just gonna show up and look like the Cho Shinsei series? Like they're gonna look like armored and look like badass mofos?
That'd be cool.
I mean-
Then we could get like cool armored figures.
I'm just saying that their mechs better look like Mecha Godzilla or I'm leaving.
Dang straight. Dragons.
Every member of the team has to have like a different type of dragon. One has like the serpentine Asian dragon. One has
And then they all combine
has,
into
like,
a
the other
big dragon.
They just make a
oh
big-
my god, it's Dracotron! It's Dracotron, guys! We're finally getting it.
No, they all
Hey.
make Shingadora.
Wham bam, it's the Dino Jam.
No, that's another show, different show, wrong
I
show.
know. Oh, so he's not.
I'm the
So they're not
dinosaur.
going to be dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's not living the dinosaurs and blah 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 blah.
You know, with the
Blah,
giant
blah, blah.
dragon that turns into a Ryusei like robot by just like zippering up.
He just coils up like.
I'm like laughing because people are already speculating there's going to be like 3 members in this season. They're going to have different styles.
I think a 3-member team might not be the worst idea, considering we went from, well, we had 7 in Zyuohger to 12 in Q Ranger to 7 in Lupat. So
So we're going to get 13 and they're going to fight each other to the death.
Kamen
then
Rider
Lucha's gonna
Ryuki,
be
the
pissed about
Sentai
it.
show.
I mean, think about it. Ryuki is called the Dragon Knight. Well, I
It
just
would be
got
funny
hate.
though if we had like a series, like a Sentai Battle Royale kind of series, like because Lupat's really popular, so
Is it popular though? Is it?
it's still beating Rider in ratings.
I mean, toy sales wise, it's kind of meh.
Toy sales wise, it's not. It's like Rider's still beating it in toy sales, but more people are watching Lupin Ranger versus Pato Ranger than people are watching Kamen Rider. And part of
Japan
that
only
is
cares
because
about toy sales, not shows ratings.
exactly. That's the funny part is that like Sentai is doing a better show than Rider, basically.
Don't tell the people of Ranger Board that, because they'll talk about how Zamiko's not in Lupido.
Which
It
doesn't.
always comes back to Ranger Board, doesn't it, with you?
It always comes back to Ranger Board and Toku Twitter, my mortal enemies, which is why I post shit posts.
Dang straight.
That's why I'm going to review Kamen Rider 5 and give it my glorious rating of 5 out of 5.
Japan
Or
already
five.
did that, Mucha. Japan already did that, Mucha. They beat you to it.
Shit. Damn you, Japan.
But yeah, no.
You're
Japan
a
already
sucker.
beat you. But yeah, Japan already beat you, Mucha, to 5 being great. But Ryu Soldier, honestly, the name sounds cool, but until I see, like, concept art, I'm gonna be like, impress me. Like, I don't believe you. This could be fake.
It looked like Kamen Rider Wizard.
That'd be okay. Wizard looks good.
Well, his dragon forms suck. His original forms look cool.
Wizard's got a lot of gorgeous suit designs.
And a lot of gorgeous people in it, too.
This is true.
Mucha's like, I'm not gonna deny. Mucha's like, I will not deny that they're not all pretty people. It had a lot of pretty people. It was like, look how pretty our cast is. Look at
how
them.
pretty our cast is, and look how pretty he is in pink pants.
I want to know
Look how
what
he
was the
eats
deal with
donuts
the
but never
sound
gets
thing.
fat. Fast
Yeah,
forward
dude,
2 years later.
Yeah, fast forward 2 years later after being on Good Morning Call and eating a shit ton of pudding in every episode. Like, legitimately just devouring pudding. And you're like, that's how he got fat. That's how the J-dramas did it.
The J-dramas killed him.
Oh,
Like,
but-
legitimately, if you go look at Wizard, right? And you look at all the J-dramas he was on, he was typecasted as, like, that cool, badass idiot who just eats on the show. So if you think
this
about
is what's
it...
gonna happen to like
That's what happened
Kyoto's
to him.
actor in a few years.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know. There's a few actors like that are now getting typecast, and they're just being told they can eat whatever they want on set, and it's leading to them like actually like gaining pounds, and they're like, "Oh crap, I guess I got to go work out."
Yep, natural Japanese metabolism only works so far.
All right, so I think we're pretty much done talking about the Kishi Ryu Sentai Ryu Soldier.
But what about Lupido's gun mech?
We're not. That's not news. That just happened in an episode.
And that just came out as a toy, and it's a moderately sized toy that's in a box that's 3 times as big as it needs to be because Bandai just loves flaps these days.
Bandai loves everything except, making good.
Except making shipping nice for me.
We're making good toys.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But nevertheless, so let's talk a little bit about like the weird thing where Toei likes to make kaiju, but they don't really like to make kaiju in their tokusatsu
To the point where the
shows.
Vic trailer's theme song sounds like a Godzilla theme.
Yeah, because like if you've ever watched for a good portion, I want to say of even early Showa Sentai, even to now, there's like a weird generational theme of like some villains actually made their monsters where it was like they would send like a weird monster or it would just be like the general for most of the plot, and then they would send like out a mech that kind of looks more like a mutated dinosaur or a giant robot mech that kind of looks like a kaiju you may see in the Ultra series, or a kaiju you may see by Tsuburaya. Well, Tsuburaya is the Ultra series, I should say, but I should say by Toho, Tsuburaya. But like, like a general typical kind of kaiju. And then as years gone on, there would be like some random monsters that would just show up, or main villains that would have like devious, just dragonic forms. For example, in 5-Man, the main villain, Super Beast, Vulgare, turns into like this weird beast that I think slightly was the embodiment idea for Koyuger's day boss when he first showed up in like that weird, green Godzilla-y tentacle creature. Like I feel like it kind of foreshadowed that. You have Long, whose true form is that of the 8-headed Orochi. You have all these other characters like in freaking Ginga Man, like the Titanics 2, the Gilgamesh, which is an evolved version of Titanics, the Earth Beast.
What
And
about
it's a weird
Frankenstein? Remember Jew Ranger had
No,
Frankenstein?
that's not a kaiju. That's just Western.
Car
Yeah, but he
Rider.
But he became big, and then he became Satan Frankie.
Became a giant golem-esque homunculized zombie. Yeah, it's weird.
And then he
Weird
became
like
a
that.
giant ring because he got a hole drilled through him.
It's true.
Yeah, so like, what though is like your guys' like thought process, like whether it's Sentai or even some of the Metal Heroes, like what's your thought process on why Toei rarely tries to do the demonic kaiju like idea?
Because they focus on small fights, not the giant fights.
Well, no, but why do you think though, like they don't, in a sense, do
Budgeting.
it? Yeah, do you think it's just budgeting? Do you think
Budgeting.
it's just they don't want to look like they're ripping off or copying or mimicking their competition?
I kind of agree with Mucha that I think it's more budgeting. It's just that
Ocha.
they don't want to basically put, a crap ton of money into a very like complex ornate suit that they're going to use for like 1 or 2 episodes that they probably won't really, see a return on really.
Because like Subaraya reuses kaiju all the time.
They
But
do.
that's more in the modern era. They have to forcibly reuse. Like I know in the past they would, in a sense, recycle suits to make new monsters, but they wouldn't as excessively need to just repurpose or keep them in really good shape like they've had to since I want to say
Well, that
Ultraman Max.
plus Toei loves to focus on the more humanoid, like talking monsters. If you get my swing of it,
The Kaijins versus Kaiju.
they prefer Kaijins because then Kaijins can have personality. They can have, they can do more than if it's just some kind of bestial monster.
Interesting side note that's related to that. I was watching Jetman, and my mom happened to be watching with me as well, and it was the house monster. It was like the apartment complex.
Oh God.
And it was funny because mom was like, "Wow, this monster doesn't talk a whole lot. Did they just like not talk as much back then?" And I was like, "Yeah, kinda."
Yeah,
She's
they
like,
really
"Yeah,
did
he
talk
would have
much
had a lot
back-
of really fun house puns if he was like a modern monster."
They didn't really talk much back then.
Even if Monsters of the Week, they didn't talk much at all because like I said, some of them would have like very bestial Kaijin like alien forms because like we've had like giant mammothian elephant like beasts, but they were never full on like on 4 legs, like where it's 2 guys in a suit. But we do on occasion get like these huge ass monsters like that actually look like they are a kaiju, but they only tend to come around during like the major arcs, or they're actually a part of a plot device. And I find that interesting too, is that they'll build plot devices around these giant creatures, such as Vulgare, who was the true main villain of Five Man, or the Datanics, or the Earth Beast, which were like Zahab's true mega weapon. It was like his Death Star per se. So it's like it's one of those things where like there are quite a few memorable ones, but I feel like it was more towards, I want to say,
I think
the
for
Link
Ginga
Showa
Man, I think
onwards.
Ginga Man, for a reason for Titanics was have a parallel for the Seiju, because that Ginga Man's pretty much the Kaiju Sentai, because they use Kaiju to fight the Star Beasts.
Yeah, and that's like one of the things that I find like interesting though, is that like we do get them. We see them off and on throughout, different Sentais. That there's at least once in a blue moon, or at least once every other series, something kaiju level that they have to fight. Because even in O Ranger, they made like a centipede-esque kaiju dragon mechanical
I
beast.
mean, technically speaking, Alba Ranger had a bunch of the Ginganoids that were kind of like Kaiju.
Yeah, like they were kaijins that were mixed with like dragons and other.
No, they were pretty
like,
much
closer
Kaiju
rip-
because they wouldn't really talk. They would just be giant and then fuck shit up. Like there was Jupiter, that's whole purpose was to bring Jupiter to collide into Earth.
Yeah, there were some of them that were like weird mutations.
Yeah, they were just trying to create mobile suits.
Yeah, Mobile Suit Gundam.
Because like that's the thing that I always find interesting though, is like there's all these really cool designs that they've had and concepts. Because even in the movies they tend to use like huge monsters. There was, what was it, the Ginga Man versus Go-Go 5 team up where we had the Hell Beast. There was the actual Go Busters and Koyuger team up where we had the weird dragon from outer space, which was all
The
CG.
dinosaur from outer space.
Was it a dinosaur?
It was a
Which one?
dinosaur.
Okay, I don't remember it being one of those. There
That
was
one's
That's
also,
why I brought back Gryphosaur and what's his name.
don't forget there was the other creature too that we had, where the Geen or whatever its name was from the Bokender movie, where it's an alien that that mutates its legs into like a weird spaceship that's more like a giant serpentine dragon, like earth-eating worm
Mhm.
that flies through space too when it's going around screwing stuff up. So it's like, I just find it interesting though that like Toei plays around with the idea of using kaiju, but they don't tend to, in a sense, want to, I guess, drastically do it, because I feel like if they focus too much on a giant monster, it should be more of a plot device than just a one-off. Because we've seen those types where like there's like a lot of berserker monsters out there. Because I'm trying to remember the name, but it's the red. You guys remember the red monster in Jetman where they get Jet Garuda? It's like the big red, like bulky, like crustacean monster, has the weird like griffin-like wings and has the blades coming out of its forearms.
Mm-hmm.
Like that thing you could kind of consider like a drugger beast because it was just like a huge, just demonic entity, and it's like, wait, what?
What about that giant head? You know which giant head I'm
Are
talking about.
are you talking about what's his face?
Great Satan.
Yeah.
Yes,
I don't think
Satan.
Great Satan counts as a kaiju since he's more of like
He's a giant
supposed to be like
floating head.
He's more
he's
like
supposed to be
a
like a Cthulian beast,
Satan.
like, you know.
Yeah, he's Satan. He's not a beast. He's just, the ultimate.
Are you
dark
telling me
prince.
Satan isn't a kaiju?
Not in the
No,
traditional sense.
no. not in the
I'm
traditional
pretty sure
sense.
that was in the Bible.
Like for example, like Führer
Pretty sure
Taboo.
Jesus was an Ultraman.
Like guys, like Führer Taboo, he's like an eldritch abomination. Like I wouldn't consider him really a kaiju either. But when Führer Taboo grows, he's like a Cthulian, monster.
You're a
from
kaiju.
Goggle 5.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite
So it's
thing
like-
about Goggle 5 is where they wear metal pants to show that their monster has grown.
Yeah, because they also had the nicknames of adding boss, if I recall, to all the giant monsters in that series too. They were like, it's either boss, or am I confusing it with the earlier season? Like they actually put boss in the name of them when they would like grow and turn into a mecha. It was really weird. Oh yeah, it was the Kongs. It was the Kongs. It was the mecha they had throughout that show in Goggle 5. They called them the Kongs, if you recall. I don't understand that. Why did they call mechs back in Toei Kongs?
Because
It was a euphemism for something big, I guess, or because Kong. Oh shit, that means it's huge.
So yeah, no, it's just like what's your thoughts on like what's some of your favorite kaiju-esque designs in Sentai or Metal Hero that seem to get not well received or well loved by the fans?
The one in Car Ranger.
There isn't really one in Car Ranger.
The one in Car Ranger was during the Vic trailer debut.
You're talking about the thing that was caused for Metallosaurus, the one that was actually
Yes.
like a mecha.
Oh
that's just
god,
based
that
on
one.
Mecha Godzilla.
And it's funny because like the Vic trailer song sounds like the Godzilla march, and it seems like it's like an intentional like, yep, we are doing a Godzilla reference this episode. But then it was also like, yeah, this is the insert song for Vic trailer for the rest of the series.
Yeah, no, because like I find it funny because I think the real reason why I wanted to bring it up is because I always see how, because of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, the overarching effect of what was, what is it, the Titanosaur wasn't really there because Captain Mutiny was just like, yeah, just fly around on a weird horned dinosaur. What's the big deal? But in Ginga Man, it's a big, huge plot device and wrecks their shit for 3 episodes once it finally gets woken up. And they finally defeat it, and then bam, we get an Earth Beast who is just crazy. It's just nuts. And it's just this element that I love about it is that, like, Sentai, when they want to do a kaiju, it's always some kind of weird arc or plot device. It's either we're going to introduce it in the middle of the show, or it's going to be towards the end of the show when going gets rough. Because look at Zogure. Look at, what would you call, Daboth. When Daboth would come back in his true giant dragon form, and then he had that weird mystical mage butterfly form. That was just awkward. Long's form. Long wasn't even supposed to be the full-on, 2 men inside of a horse suit. It was supposed to actually be a guy on 2 feet with just dragons coming out of his stomach.
You're saying they didn't have a long form plan?
They did not seem to, in the original concept art, it didn't seem like it was supposed to be 2 guys. The concept art showed that it was going to be 1 guy in a body of like
And
dragon
2
heads.
cups.
So it was gonna be more King Ghidorah, but it wound up being more Des Ghidorah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghidorah, the best boy. Ghidorah is like a dog, right?
Yeah.
Like he's dog Ghidorah.
He kind of
Pretty
was,
much.
because he like kind of has like that weird black, I guess he would say like black scales, has a little, I wouldn't
So
say he has hair, but he's like rough.
could we tame him if we just patted his head and called him a good boy?
I think it would be easier to tame him than, Kaiser Ghidorah from, from Final Wars.
Well, that's because Kaiser Ghidorah is, an asshole.
Well, that's because he was a pro MMA fighter before he evolved. His final evolution, the true form of shitposting.
The final form.
He should be in Kamen Rider Geo.
Dude, if Monster X appeared in Zeo, I think Zeo would be 10 out of 10.
I actually would elevate the show to like my top 10 worst Kamen Rider, but it'd be like number 10 instead of number 1.
Number 1 in the heart.
Really, Gio's not the worst Kamen Rider I've seen though. So.
Yeah, I watched worse. We'll talk about it on Mike and Mike.
We're gonna have a massive debate about that if we do. Forza is like my number 5. Forza
5.
is the highest ranked Heisei Rider show in my book.
Dun.
I agree.
See? I told you. Satan's right here. It's a kaiju.
Well, me and Soundout have known each other for years, so we gotta think on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah.
A wild project appears while we have a discussion about Kaiju in Toei, which there's not that many.
You've been my friends for 20 years now, and
I
I know
right?
when he's going to show up. I know when he's going to show up. I just never tell you because
Because he doesn't have to. 'Cause
Yeah.
He's only known Wheelz for a short amount of time, so why would you tell him that?
yeah.
Have to. None of that. That crazy action.
But yes, I have a deep attachment to Forza due to being in high school while that show was airing. That I connected to it really, really well.
Anyways, I guess we should just move on since no one wants to actually talk about the few Kaiju in there, because
I mean, there's not much to talk about.
I think they're awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome, but like I just feel like they're underutilized. Like I feel like it's a gimmick Sentai could have done so many times when they're using like this whole mysticism and shit.
I mean, we could watch Just Beyond if you want real kaiju action, baby.
There's quite a few in Just Beyond, isn't there?
No, that's the entire purpose of Just Beyond.
Yeah, I know, Space
He's
Wolf,
the Mega
but,
Beast investigator.
Exactly, and then we get, Just Beyond coming out on Discotech Media. Yeah, no, that's the thing, is, like, I want to know, like, is Toei's thing, it's just, like, you and Mucha and Metal Thought, is it just budgeting? Or is it just that they actually are thinking, if we make these smaller guys, we can actually have fights, we can actually do real choreography?
I think that's part of it. I think Super Riot kind of has the market for the miniatures and all that stuff going on for them. That's kind of like their bread and butter, and Toei doesn't want to challenge that aspect because there's
because if you notice like their city displays, they once in a blue moon choose to make them look elegant, and they only do it on a few occasions. Like, remember the whole reflective city skyline kind of thing that they did with, I think, in like Go Busters and Go-Go 5, where the actual building next to it is more like a mirror paneled plating of the windows, and like you would see the reflection of the suit bouncing off of it. Like, I rarely see that effect used in Sentai at all.
The origin of, like, a lot of Toei shows aren't really based off of, giant action. Like, Sentai having giant action was, like, a happy accident.
Yeah, because they were like, oh, hey, Leopardon. Hey, Leopardon.
Leopardon cell. Hey, Leopardon cell, let's make a Captain America series. Nah, let's call it Super Sentai instead. And thus, we may have one of the greatest Sentais of all time in Battle Fever J.
It's probably the greatest racist Sentai of all time. If
the most racist Sentai of all time.
Listen, racism is a relative word. One could say they're woke.
Everybody knows Gokaiju's the greatest Sentai.
This is true. As my friend of 30 years, Projekt, I understand why.
I thought you were gonna say this is true because Ranger Board tells me that all the time.
No, man. Why would I talk about Ranger Board on this podcast? I never.
Because you already talked about them on this podcast.
No, I didn't, Wheelz. That's crazy talk.
I've never heard of them.
Never heard of them.
Some sort of board game? Like a Ouija board?
Yeah, they're basically like Sorry, except not as good.
Hey, here's a fun fact. Did you know Ultraman met NSYNC?
Yeah, I did.
Because one
Don't
of
you
them
mean
is a fan of Ultraman?
Don't you mean that Ultraman was inspired by NSYNC?
No. They were he met one of which one I forgot which one was it, but they met Ultraman. NSYNC met Ultraman, and it was great.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Justin Timberlake is actually an Ultraman.
Or the one NSYNC member that no one knows about.
Yeah,
doesn't
no,
know who
Joey Fat One is the Ultraman. I've seen Robot Chicken. I know his origin story.
Joey Fatone is an Ultraman. Okay, anyways, let's go on to the main discussion, which
Fatone.
is
Who the fuck's Joey Fatone?
Whatever.
What the fuck is a Joey Fatone? I don't need Joey Fat One.
We're gonna talk about Gamera the Brave. It's a movie Soundout chose because I don't know why Soundout chose it. Explain why you chose this one.
Because you asked me on a day when I didn't want to deal with bullshit, and I just answered with, well, what was the movie that came out most recently? And I was like, okay, Gamera the Brave.
Yeah, that's literally what happened. I was expecting him to actually pick a Showa film that was garbage.
You know why? It's because Gamera is a friend to children, and he relates to Soundout's inner child.
It's true.
My inner and outer child.
Cut that out. You never know if the FBI is listening.
It's okay. The FBI doesn't know where I live.
But Chris
Yeah.
Hansen does.
And in this politically sensitive world, somebody's gonna sue Gamera for child molestation.
He's a turtle.
Exactly. That
Doesn't
makes it
matter.
even worse.
Just some asshole who's gonna be like super sensitive will sue Gamera.
Listen, if there's a film out there or a world out there where Godzilla has diabetes, I'm pretty sure you can sue Gamera for sexual
Yeah.
assault.
Godzilla dies of diabetes and Gamera gets sued for child molestation. Truly, we live in the greatest timeline.
The greatest generation.
Right, so
I
Gamera.
died.
And then Godzilla turns into a rocket ship and Gamera will turn into a prison bitch.
So, Gamera the Brave is a film that came out to commemorate, I believe, the 40th anniversary of the series. It came out in 2006, and it's one of those films where, when it was announced, people, I think, weren't wanting it because of the overall hype that came off of the original trilogy made in the late
Hype.
90s. So people were expecting it to be a real conclusion to what we never got. However, this one was going to be a new take on the franchise, since Kawakata wanted to do a real Envision that kind of did elements of the original Showa era, where he was the friend of all children, and they also wanted to do a take on a little bit of the mythos explored in the Heisei era of him being kind of like this weird mythical like entity. On top of that, in the mid 2000s and late 2000s, they had this weird thing about doing movies that were expressing your individuality, getting over stuff that has happened to you in life. Because, I mean, we had Gamera the Brave, we had the Great Yokai War, we also had Daimajin Canon, where these were stories about getting over, like, depression, finding out who you are, becoming, badass individual, so on and so forth. So this film is going to be kind of slice of lifey for the first probably half of the film, where we first open up on a flashback to Gamera versus Gauss, like it was dated as like the year it actually happened, where a young boy witnesses Gamera fight a bunch of Gauss, and he decides to, pretty much as Mucha called it, Vegeta versus Majin Buu.
Oh yeah, final
blows
explosion.
up.
That shit.
Final explosion, yeah. He blows himself up and takes out all the Gauss. And in doing so, we flash forward 2 years later, where the young boy is now grown up. He's a man. He's a single father due to the fact
And he
that
runs
his
Ore Journal.
No, he doesn't run OH. This time he doesn't, since he is
No,
played
Yeah,
by.
he has a second job as running a journal.
Yeah,
He has a
you know.
Did you miss that scene of the movie?
Yeah. And of course this is 2 years before he went to work for Under Anchor, so
Yeah.
So if anyone doesn't
And
know,
his best friend
it
is Vario.
yeah, if anyone doesn't know, it's Suda from Kamen Rider Ryuki. Not Kirihara. God damn it, what's his name again?
Takimoto.
Takimoto in Keita Sosukan 7. He's playing the father, who's a single parent to his son, where they've both lost the mother in a tragic car accident, and they're going to visit her grave. Now, in the meantime, while this is like the first summer without his mother, the son sees on this offshore island like a red flash of light, and as you find out, he's getting curious of why this light is flashing, and only he can like see it. So he decides one day to swim out, and he finds this red stone, and on top of
Not
it,
until
eternal
after his friends tried to strip him in the river.
let's forget that part where his friends tried to strip him in the river. Let's forget that part. But we'll approach it because he has two good friends, which are moderately weird because they tried to strip him in
in the river.
Yeah, tried to strip him in a river, and he goes out and gets this egg. And so he goes and gets the egg. It hatches immediately, and he takes the stone back as well as the little turtle. In the meantime, you also find out that his next door neighbor and weird older sister-like friend that he has a weird crush on, and she has a crush on him, kind of thing.
Incest.
No, it's like that older sister syndrome.
Well,
your next door
like yeah,
neighbor.
she lives across the street, and it's kind of like she's the older sister kind of figure, but he kind of sort of has a crush on her.
She has a crush
What's
on
that
him,
old
kind of
thing?
thing. It's weird, and so pretty much they hang out and chill out, and you also find out that she has one of those typical Japanese. Oh, she has the weird heart or kidney disease kind of thing where she needs to get a replacement thing before she's
Well,
even
obviously
like
she
20.
needs medicine from the future.
Yeah, she needs medicine from the future. Like they pretty much kind of make it that she has a real bad heart issue where she needs to have like a transfusion or like a replacement kind of thing, like one of those ordeals where they have to actually go in and fix an organ because she's just sickly. You know, it's not cancer, it's not anything like that. It's just like some kind of organ failure that we don't really specifically know
Yeah.
of. Her father's played by the actor who would play Uncle Mario in Ju Oger, and he's really good friends with, our main character's father. And as the story progresses, the little turtle that he's now adopted and taken in as his pet starts to keep growing. And it starts to grow even more. So the girl gets very curious about it when it especially starts hovering around and flying in the kid's bedroom, that it might be somehow a new Gamera. And the kid's in denial about this, and he tries to hide it. When he goes back to the little shack on the beach where they decided to hide it, it's missing. And now he's like, oh crap, maybe it went out to grow and become a big Gamera. And he's like, nah, that can't be it. My turtle's just becoming a giant tortoise. And no sooner does he like leave the shack, does a new kaiju show up that's been kind of already haunting the coastal area by destroying and eating ships. Shows up and is actually eating people in his town, on his coastal town. And him, his father, and his two best friends make it out while his little girlfriend next door is already in Nagoya having her big, I guess you would say, heart surgery. So as they're fleeing for their lives from this new kaiju, his turtle, nicknamed Toto, shows up as a 8-meter tall Gamera and challenges this huge, giant reptilian iguana-like Allosaurus thing called Zetus to a fight, and actually holds its own pretty well and fights it into, I guess you would say, a standoff, since it badly injures it, making it forcibly retreat, where it then, the Gamera Toto, goes into, I guess, a comatosis-like sleep. The government comes in, takes Gamera away, and they realize that these red rubies that were showing up that they were saying was like the pride of the town actually has some magical essence that could make Gamera bigger and stronger faster. So the government was like, let's just breed this Gamera and raise it to be a full-fledged Gamera to defend us from future kaiju attacks. And ironically enough, the mad scientist working on it is none other than Owner from Den-O, who's being told to do this by a government official who ends up playing the crazy mad priest villain in the Kamen Rider Wizard 2 episode finale crossover with Decade and Gaim. So they're breeding Toto into a big Gamera, whereas they get a call from Mai after her surgery saying that she's been saying in her sleep and waking up and saying Toto needs the red stone. So the kid and his friends find out what it is, and they go to try to go into the big city on a train to meet Mai, get the stone, and get it to Toto. However, it leads to one giant kaiju smackdown in the middle of the city and the father chasing after them. And it leads to a really emotional scene where they finally need to get the stone to Toto, and somehow the stone is calling out to children. Only children can hear like the cry of the stone when it's flashing and glowing. And kids start relaying it. Like they'll get caught by somebody, they'll fall down, they'll get stuck because there's rubble in the way. And another kid through the rubble or through a fence will see the stone and take it all the way to the main kid's two best friends, and they bring it to him, and then him and his father rush to go give the stone to Gamera. It supercharges this Gamera, which is now grown to about, 15 to almost 18 meters, to fight this 30-meter monster, and eventually just wipes it out using like a Gamera trilogy-esque like Mana Blast, and then Toto goes flying off back to the oceans as christened the new Gamera, and it's this weird, I guess you would say, coming-of-age story about a kid and his pet and getting over the loss of his mother. And so, since that was like a brief synopsis for those who could not see the film, even though it's now illegally up on YouTube, was
For now.
at one time distributed by Tokyo Shock, I think, and ADV Films. Like, that was the original distributor, and they lost the
Screw
license.
ADV.
Yeah.
Hey, is it just me or that sounds like the plot of the new Bumblebee movie, except there's less Transformers?
It
I was about to
probably
say
could
that
be.
actually.
But,
We all know Gamera's better.
So I'm before I hand it off to say Mucha.
What,
I'm gonna
like
give
me?
Well, no, because you and me are the only ones who've actually seen this film, at least on more than one occasion. I'm going to hand it over to Soundout, since he's the one who wanted to choose this film, only because, his medication just made him choose the easiest film he could get a hold of.
I mean, it's not like it's the easiest. I own like however many Gamera movies on DVD from that one Milk Creek set.
I'm making the joke easiest because you could just easily just click on it rather than getting up and actually putting in the disc.
I mean, I still had to get up and plug in my external hard drive.
We don't support piracy on this podcast, sir.
This one time we do because the official release is out of print.
I don't know.
I
Do
last I
when it's
checked,
un-
alright,
when it's
I
unlicensed,
have
it fits in a legal gray area.
Listen,
last I checked,
I
this is
have
Go
it.
Kaiju Hero Club's official Sentai, so technically piracy is okay.
Oh, you're right. Shit, I didn't think about that.
Just saying.
As
For a
long
good
as
cause.
this. Anyways, yeah, I could have watched. We could have watched one of the Gamera movies I own on DVD that I spent $5 for that whole collection. But anyways, yeah, I'd say this movie made me realize that I should watch the rest of those Gamera movies because I actually like Gamera.
You know, that's a damn accurate statement, sir.
That's what I realized. Also, I just like really enjoyed it. Like it had a lot of good moments to it, and it had a lot of nice plot lines and good character work, and some really cool fight choreography, good cinematography work too.
You mean when he shot the fireball at the monster's mouth?
I was gonna say like the time he shot the fireball at the knife.
Yeah, that was also cool. And burnt it, and the father's like, "What the hell? I don't remember this."
And yeah, can't wait to see the sequel.
What
I'm
sequel?
not getting a sequel.
Well, I guess I'm giving up on this franchise already.
Oh no! How unbrave
Well,
of you.
yeah, that's very unbrave. I thought you would have more to say about this film, being that it's your first Gamera.
I mean, as my first Gamera, like I said, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it because I've pretty much only been like in the Godzilla realm of things when it comes to kaiju movies. This was kind of like branching out, where I was just like, it was a branch out, unlike my branching out to Ultraman, where I was like, for a bunch of it, but like this was like more of a branch out of, yeah, I definitely want to watch another Gamera movie probably tomorrow. Just crack into that DVD set and go from there.
All right, so
Crack a
Visible
cold
Ninja. Since that was your also first time watching, what were your
Yeah.
opinions?
Oh God, I definitely agree. It seems to be a bit. It's definitely a throwback to the Showa era. I mean, there's a lot of callbacks. I mean, to both the Showa era and the Heisei era. So, but it definitely feels more Showa because it definitely feels like the best way to describe it is it's a more lighthearted than the Heisei trilogy, but it's not as unapologetically
Corny and
corny.
campy.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as campy because I'll be honest, you really, get feel for Toto because he's such a cute little guy that can just,
He's
propel
adorable.
himself. He can propel himself with chi, and he gets in, he's checking out the restaurant, and he gets into mischief, and it's all, it's hilarious, and you really connect with him because he's such a cute guy. And overall, the kid, Toru there actually isn't too bad of an actor himself. Because he attaches to Toto because he lost his mother, which makes perfect sense, actually. And, it's all about him learning, if you love somebody, you got to let him go. Even his mom, who was Mole from Rebirth of Mothra. But at least she ain't Crystal this time. And
I keep forgetting if it's Mole or Laura. I keep screwing up. I'm like, is it? Which one's which?
don't
Somebody
know.
save me!
She's the one that turned to Crystal in
Somebody
3.
save
The one
me.
that turned to Crystal in 3. The one that
Why
didn't
the
get
hell are we
recast.
bringing up Smallville into this podcast?
Because
Not-
it always happens when Wheelz is around.
Exactly. But yeah, overall, yeah, and then there's Zedus, which I still would like to know how the government came up with that name, but
I don't
it's
know.
not
Why did the DOA call Godzilla in Shin Godzilla?
well, it's because that professor put it in his work.
But where did he get that name from? And then where did he
Again,
get that name from?
From the Odo Island legends.
There's no such thing as the Odo Islands.
No, I'm just saying, they don't explain where the name Zedus comes from. There's not a lot about Zedus because he just appears. Well, he doesn't, appear, but
He eats a guy that was in the water.
He's attacking fishing boats. Then he kind of makes his way towards Japan, and then he just kind of comes on land and starts wrecking shit and eating people.
Hey guys, would you like to hear something very ironic about
Yeah.
Zedus? Zedus' suit actor was Mizuho Yoshida, who was the suit actor for Zeiram in Zeiram's 1 and 2. In addition, he was Legion in Gamera 2, Desghidorah in Rebirth of Mothra, Degarla in Rebirth of Mothra 3, as well as Godzilla in GMK before being Zedus in Gamera the Brave. And if anyone knows the old wives' tale rumor or backstory, was that Gamera the Brave was originally trying to be Kawakata's pitch to Toho to do a crossover between Gamera and Godzilla,
Yeah,
and they
Gamera
said
versus
no.
Godzilla,
And that's why they
yeah.
made Zetus like a pseudo Godzilla knockoff.
Yeah, I know, because like Zedwis kind of does feel like a Godzilla. I mean, obviously he's a quadruped and a surprisingly agile one, because Zedwis is actually pretty agile. He was able to pull some actually impressive acrobatic stuff, like flinging Gamera, over himself when he's biting onto his tail, or when he flung him into the building, climbing up top the other one, and then trying to take him out. That was actually kind of impressive with that. And of course, Zedwis has the whole, Dilophosaurus from Jurassic Park thing, but he doesn't spit venom, I don't think. But
No, he just
that's
pierces
Eddie
you with
Brock.
his tongue.
yeah, that brings a whole new meaning to the word penetration. Ugh. At least Gamera
Hashtag
didn't
Me
have
Too
to.
movement.
Yeah. At least he didn't have to. At least Gamera didn't have to blow his arm off this time, though. So.
No, there was
Well,
a lot of
not
like one of the funny things is like you were saying. There's so many Easter eggs,
Yeah.
and in the fight with Zedwis, most of the Easter eggs were references to Gamera the Guardian in the Universe
Oh,
series,
yeah.
where he gets pierced in the arm, in the hand, gets pierced through the shoulder of the plating, the actual charging of the blast that kills off Zedus in the finale, and when he fought the knife, which was a reference to Guiron. But there were
Guiron.
other like secret like little nods in there that people may or may not notice, like since it was directed by the Ryuki director, starred, Suda, who was in Ryuki. There were Shokatsu henshins, there were other Kawakata references to like little figurines of Daimajin and the yokai from the Yokai Warfare films.
Yokai,
throughout the kids' room.
yokai, Atsumanani.
Wrong yokai. Wrong ones.
Yeah,
Bad.
different yokai. Jabanya.
Wait, we're not watching
so
those yokai?
charming.
No, not this time.
Okay, so what else were you gonna say, Visible Ninja, about Zedus in the film?
Oh no, just I was impressed with some of the acrobatics Zedus was able to pull off, and like I did, like some of it was obviously fudged with green screen process, but still, like what the suit could actually do itself, it was actually fairly agile, which was impressive. And then actually the final fight was actually pretty cool too, especially the final showdown. So this was a pretty dang solid movie. Like it would definitely was more lighthearted, but not as, like you said, corny or kiddie as like Showa Gamera got, especially towards the end. And yeah, there was quite a few Easter eggs in there for Gamera fans to pick up. And I just thought it was a damn good thing with actually a fairly nice design for Gamera, because I do like the fact he's a bit more turtle-like now, as opposed to being just like a giant turtle-like monster. He does actually seem like he is like some kind of giant mutant turtle now that can fly and spit fire.
All right. So yeah, I was gonna say, so Mucha, your thoughts on the film?
Oh, I enjoy Gamera the Brave. It's very, very heartwarming and charming for a movie of its caliber. It does have the same feel. Like it took like the influence from the Heisei era in terms of like style and presentation, but also had like the Showa kind of, I guess how to say, wackiness to it. Because Toto kind of feels like a wacky Showa character when he's a little baby, like a little baby.
What about Hokuto and Sato?
They are peasants' towns and they deserve to be bombed, in my opinion. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie a lot. It reminds me a little bit of Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, the 2003 movie, because they both deal with the depressions of our main characters, trying to get over it with the help of their kaiju ally or something like that. For our female character in Mechagodzilla, it was Mechagodzilla, aka Kiryu. In this movie, it was our child protagonist and Toto, or Gamera, whatever he wants to call it. But I think with him calling him Gamera, he's like acknowledging that Gamera needs to exist for the world's sake, man. And I like it. It's a nice movie.
Yeah, so like, because like I know you probably had a lot more of the symbolic explanation for it. Because like when I first saw the film, I was explaining to Soundout, when this film first came out like in 06 and was distributed in like 07, 08 on DVD on home video through either Media Blasters, Tokyo Shock, or ADV. Getting the film in hand, I did think it was a little slow, but then when I think back to it, and as I was growing up, watching other Kawakata films at the time, you start to notice that Kawakata style is more about an emotional depth and growth of your character. You see that in like I say, yokai, the Great Yokai War of like 2004 or 5. You see that in Daimajin, the television series that they produced. You see that in like a lot of their dramas, a lot of their shows. There's a lot more of an emotional connection, like about real life scenarios you're put into, and
A
then they hit
grounded
you with like,
sense of
yeah,
reality.
they hit you with that, but then they throw in all this science fiction or supernatural stuff to try to not make it feel as real. So I guess
Well,
it
it's
can
what
still be
Shin Godzilla
emotional.
did. It's what Shin Godzilla did in that it's grounded, but there's also a sense of fantastic in it that kind of allows it to portray the fiction that is, well, our world.
Yeah,
It,
because like
The
there's.
truth is stranger than fiction, essentially.
What are you gonna say, Sound Out?
I was gonna say it definitely moves a lot faster than Shin Godzilla. That's a
No,
slow
yeah.
movie.
The thing with Shin Godzilla's depth and process is too much of the politics with the scenery and the discussion and what's going on. And if you don't fully know how Japanese politics works, you might be lost. And then where with this film, it's just like you're feeling like what a natural coastal town child would probably feel like. He has a couple of friends. The town looks kind of like, happy-go-lucky, but at the same time looks also very rural and poor. Like it's like one of those mixtures of the best of like you're stuck
It's like
right
the
in the middle.
Japanese storytelling trope of poor equals happiness, rich equals sadness.
It's Buddha mindset.
Yeah, and so like it's a very weird place where it looks happy, but it also looks very dreary. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like it looks just like
Dreary.
Dreary.
dreary, yeah, grim at times. Because like some of the places just look kind of like depressing. Because like you see some of the buildings, the houses don't look like they're really upkept, but like it has like a really nice style about it. And then you have this whole story is that like he just kind of feels like I wouldn't say he's an outcast, but he feels very disconnected. But he still has his two friends, which are
Well, that's
brother.
the whole point, is
So,
that he feels disconnected from the world because of his, well, crippling depression.
his crippling depression that was the death of his mother. And what's really interesting too is that the mother character is only addressed a couple of times. Like we only see her flashbacks maybe twice in the film where they focus on who was she? What did he think of her? Like there was the part where he's just sitting and daydreaming in the actual restaurant, and I thought that was like a really good scene where like he's just thinking, and the next thing he's like seeing like literally the ghost of his mother, and then make it like an old black and white movie, and he's like freaking the hell out, and he like ends up knocking over like a drink over like the actual counter menu, and he's just like freaked out, and he runs upstairs. Like that was I think like a really good scene of like a kid trying to get over loss, because like to them it's like a ghost of yesterday if it just happened recently.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like the whole thing with him and the turtle. Like I really like one of the things I really did like about the connection with him and Toto was like he like that one point where he's like he tries to throw Toto away like in the original Gamera film where the kid was told, you got to get rid of your pet, you got to get rid of him. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna get rid of him. But then Toto is like, I am Gamera, I will follow you till the end of time. Then almost gets run over by a truck. That was like a really crazy scene because I was like, I even said to myself, I thought there was gonna be a part where the kid closes his eyes and just sees splatter, but then Gamera's just flying. But then it's like, no, he grabs him and he's like, hey, this is why you should fly. And then like he smacks him like he did bad, like he's like punishing him. Bad boy, no, this is when you fly. This is when you fly. The one thing that we didn't actually talk about that I want to talk about is like the full-on relay race. Like I only mentioned it when I gave the synopsis, but like, what was your thoughts when you actually like first sound out metal? What were your thoughts initially seeing that scene of like these kids, like the embodiment of the friend called children, being an actual real meaning in the film? Like the fact that like
Wait, you mean the kids that tried to strip him in the river that actually
No.
became good friends?
They were already as good friends, but it was weird. But what I'm saying is the whole fact of like when the other kids, like when Mai is in the hospital trying to get the stone, and the little girl just out of nowhere just grabs it and starts running. Like, what were your thoughts? Like the whole, hey, we need to get this to the turtle, like that symbolic.
It gave me faith in
Story.
humanity again.
That's what
for
Gamera does, baby.
Like everyone working together for the same goal.
For Toto.
Yeah, it's just like, the children just kind of instinctually knew that Gamera was their friend and that they had to help Gamera.
Like, because when I remember seeing that scene, and it was leaked onto YouTube before the film came out on home video. Like, I think actual ADV or whoever had the license to the film used that clip to promote the film. And I remember seeing it going, wow, this looks like a really heart-wrenching moment, because all these kids are, like, putting their own lives in danger, but the adults are just running for their lives. Like, so many adults are just running, and all these kids are running towards the danger. And I remember saying to myself, do these kids actually know that the turtle Gamera is the good guy, or is like because like the sense of seeing it for the first time, like I saw it on YouTube, it didn't explain the continuity of
The stone
why.
calls out to them, Wheels. The stone calls out to them.
Yeah, like that was the thing. Like, was it the
The
stone?
stone
Was it-
psychically controls their every action and being.
Yeah, exactly. The
Yeah,
stone
so
promised them
that was the
candy
thing.
in a
It was-
van.
Yeah, that probably did promise them candy in a van, just like that factory in Nagoya was white and looked like a back of a van that Gamera was in, and they were giving him candy.
I mean, I was going to say that Gamera the Brave kind of feels like what Godzilla Final Wars was in the sense that it was inspired by the Showa era's kind of mentality, but
I
was
thought you were going to
stylized
say in the
with
sense
headset.
of it's the last movie.
Well, that too, but stylized in their more modern mindset and influenced by that.
I could see what you mean by that, because like this film, I really would like to have seen a follow up if they could have done a follow up, because like, and what I mean like
Like
a
there
follow
wasn't a
up.
full trilogy?
No, what I'm saying is the style of follow up that I would have liked to have seen from this film is do a film where the kid is older now, and his son or whatever is saved by Gamera, like the bit. Like I was hoping like there would be like more of a weird like kind of hook even at the end where like the kid and his family all go home, but then when they go out to the Bay Area, like Gamera just sometimes just shows up and is just like waddling around in the ocean, and like like they're playing on his back. You know what I'm saying? Like I was hoping there would be like more of a real like, oh hey, we can kind of keep him and he just hangs out in the village.
But that's not his job now, Wheels. His job now is to be Gamera.
His
Guardian
job
of
now
Planets.
is to chew bubblegum and kick kaiju ass, but he's all out of bubblegum.
Yeah, there's always going to be a Gaios out there somewhere.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is like in this world of Gamera too, they even allude that the only kaiju allegedly at this time were the Gauss and Gamera, and they kind of rumor that there were others, but they never specifically say what were the others, and then just Zeta shows up, and you're like, was Zeta supposed to be like an ancient
Catherine
type?
Zeta-Jones?
Yeah, Zetas is actually Catherine Zeta-Jones after she married Michael Douglas. That's the only joke apparently I can get over people.
I'm just sitting there like, it works. It works.
I'm just like, is that why Zeta looks like she does in the movie?
Yeah, she married Michael Douglas and absorbed his old DNA. It's like when
Is that how they got him
that's-
to look younger in Ant-Man?
yeah, it's like that cocoon that from Lost Galaxy. They both went inside the cocoon and then they came out, merged, and made Zetas.
That makes a lot of sense.
Tell me it's not canon. Tell me it's not canon. I'll call you a damn liar.
I mean, it's like the Ju-Oger alternate universe for Uncle Mario. Is that like, in that universe, Mai didn't survive her transplant, and the mother left him after their daughter died, so all he had was his nephew to take care of after his father and him had a falling out.
I think they left because he was a furry.
I think you killed Soundout. I think he's dead. He's dead. No.
R.I.P. Soundout.
R.I.P. Soundout.
Well, I guess no more Mike and Mike in the morning.
Looks like it got
Nope.
canceled the
Looks like it's just
unintentional
gonna-
way.
It's just gonna be called Mike in the morning.
But no, overall, I think that this film is so unique, and I think it actually stands out as being one of the best kaiju films ever made. You know what I'm saying? This is the one, like the trilogy. I see the trilogy as great as a whole, or if you just look at 1 and 3, I don't really like 2, but that's just me. I look at it usually though as the trilogy as one full film. I usually look at the Daimajin trilogy as one full film. But The Brave is like one of these, kaiju films where I'm like, if you were to tell me what are like the top 10 kaiju films, I think Brave would be a lot higher if more people had the chance to see it. You know what I'm saying, Mucha? Like I feel like this is one of those ones where you could equate it as being in the top 5,
It's definitely a very good movie. I'm not sure if it's quite top 5 material in terms of kaiju, but I think it's a very quality made film, and It is very unique in its presentation of what it wants to tell.
Yeah, because like when I look at like good kaiju films, and when you look at the standard of if a film doesn't have like say Godzilla versus in the title, I usually, in a sense, like I say, I look at the Gamera Guardian of the Universe trilogy as like a full story. Like it would take one full spot rather than be split up of the three. Rebirth of Mothra the same, Daimajin the same, the Kiryu Saga like part 1 and 2. I think of it as like the same. But then like when I look at it, like when I look at Godzilla films, the ones that stand out at times are like 85, 54, the original Mothra, the original Rodan, you know? Stuff like that, or Destroy All Monsters, since it's a compilation, or I wouldn't say compilation, a crossover film. It's
The
their
weird
version.
thing is, with Destroy All
like,
Monsters, I actually prefer Invasion of Action Monster a little bit more. Even though Destroy All Monsters is an enjoyable film in itself.
Oh yeah, like a lot of people say Invasion of the Astro Monsters is the better film of the show era, but like I think Brave is one of those ones where I see a lot of people shitting on it for no apparent reason, and I don't know.
I don't get
for.
that. I don't get shitting on it. I think it's too well made to be an awful movie.
Hey, I gotta
Like, a
say,
lot of
it's
people-
my favorite Gamera movie.
That's the
Like,
only
no,
Gamera movie.
yeah, no, like a lot of people diss on it supposedly because it's too lighthearted, it's too surreal.
I mean, even the Heisei Gamera, the ones that are like highly triumph, have their silly moments to them. I don't know.
It's also Gamera. It's not really like a dark and gritty franchise.
Except
Gamera
in
is
the
super
trilogy.
dark. Gamera's super dark, man. He's like Turtle Batman.
Like if you watch the Gamera trilogy and Gamera's second film, Gamera vs. Barugan, those are like the darkest films in the franchise. Legitimately.
Well, the quote-unquote darkest film in the franchise would be The Revenge of Iris, because of how it ends with like the ambiguity.
Oh yeah, no, that ending was dark.
It's
The
like
ending
we
was
don't
dark.
fucking know what's gonna happen. No one knows.
Yeah, no one knows because it leaves you on a cliffhanger, and I'm not gonna spoil it, even though I think I've already spoiled it for Soundout.
It's okay. I kind of like zoned out for a second, so I don't think I got spoiled.
It's the furry
Are
comment,
you
isn't
on
it?
drugs, or is it the furry comment?
I think I haven't been the same since the furry comment.
I thought I was gonna say the MMPR thing killed you too, but that's a different story.
I think that just killed all my motivation and hope for the future with the world.
Hey, but what about Gamera? Gamera can give you hope.
I know, but the MMPR thing was after Gamera.
No, but then watch another
It's
Gamera
true,
for more
it's
hope.
true. Yeah, you gotta go watch another Gamera. Just
That's
don't watch
true.
the Super Monster, or you'll kill yourself.
Watch
Gotta
another
start there
Gamera
first.
and watch a Godzilla movie, and then be happy with your life.
I could also just watch Gundam because it kind of has both in one.
I mean, you could watch Gundam. You could, but then why?
Because
Does anyone? Never mind. Sorry. What were you gonna say, Soundout?
because I'm watching Gundam 00, which means every time there's something great that happens, something really annoying and depressing happens like a minute later.
Okay, but what I was gonna say, does anyone have any last words they want to actually add on to the fact of Gamera the Brave, or can we wrap up with saying is like it's really made, and for the people who say don't
I'd
watch
say
it, do watch
check it out. I say check it out.
I say I'm Team Toto. Hoto and Seito just don't have anything on it.
Exactly.
Oh god,
And as Mucha said, bomb them all.
I would definitely check it out because it's honestly it's just legitimately a very good movie. Plus, it has some good kaiju action. So
Yeah.
Better than Kamen Rider Geo.
What the hell's Zio?
Geo.
Whatever.
But yeah, no, like I said, it's a movie. Go search it out. Luckily, someone did put it up on YouTube, so check it out while you can. Hopefully, one day it does get redistributed and relicensed here in North America. I'd like to see
Maybe
it
on Blu-ray.
Yeah, and I'd like to see better special features, because the only special feature, if you have the original home video release, is like a pseudo like Q&A kind of thing that the actual director himself, who worked on several Kamen Rider series, did, where he actually talks about the process of what it takes to write, like, say, kaiju or tokusatsu like episodes and films. Like, it's a weird special. It's like almost like a 20-minute segment that you would see like on our newsreel kind of thing in Japan. Ryuta Tasaki actually like kind of like walks you through the steps of like how they specifically wrote the idea of Gamera. So, like I said, I would like to see, when it gets on home video, some more of the special features, since there are other special features I've seen leaked on the internet for it. So I'd hope we get a better release. Hopefully we get a release where it's actually repackaged in with the other previous films. I would like to see that, even though I think that that's not going to happen. It's kind of like how the Godzilla license here is in North America, where it's all scattered. You're never gonna
I wish
actually
we could
have
just
it in
have
one full
Godzilla
house.
and Gamera and have all their movies under one company.
That'd
And
actually be
that
pretty
And that
interesting.
company be Kraken releasing.
And then we'll finally have a movie where they fight together to fight. I don't know.
King
Super
Kong.
King. Yes.
No. You just have Godzilla and Gamera team up to fight like a hybrid between Iris and Ghidorah.
But also
Ghidorah.
King Kong.
Yeah.
King Kong. Why put the monkey on the pole?
Because he needs to work it.
And have them fight all the Toei Kaiju like Titanics and the thing from Car Ranger.
No, we need to have Orochi. Let's have Orochi fight both of them.
So we can have Hiroshi Abe come back and become a mecha.
Oh no, they fight the giant naked woman from the Indigaro.
No.
No.
Wheelz, the giant naked daughter robot. Yes, we brought it back, baby.
I mean, that thing was taller than like Godzilla, so.
Oh God, Mucha, it's sad because we referenced both the films we said we'd never speak of again on this show.
Yeah, baby.
And with that, we're gonna conclude episode 61 of
Los
Ingobernables de
Ingobernables
Tokusatsu. We'll see you all next week with episode 62, which I think is our Halloween special, where we'll be looking at both Zeiram 1 and Zeiram 2.
And all I'm going to talk about is Gara.
Hey, it's Wheelchair21, and thanks again for listening to an all-new episode of Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu. If you want to hear more content or see more content from the Hero Club YouTube channel, we're going to need you to subscribe, like, comment with some feedback, and share this channel with a friend. We also would like you to check out our website, hero-club.com, and follow us on various social media outlets just by looking up Hero Club for Life, as well as the stores you see are where we shop. Anyways, thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.